When they throwing rocks at you, stay on the wall. If you come down off the wall to address haters and small people, see they eye level with you now.
I think that I've never seen a black person be involved with him and then come out unscathed without being tainted by his bullshit.
Harvey posted this picture on her Instagram. She said, I hope y'all have had so much fun creating false narratives about me for clickbait because I'm about to have so much fun suing.
DL Hughley just snapped on Steve Harvey, and this one cuts way deeper than jokes or light shade. People have been talking for a minute that their friendship isn't just distant, it's done, completely finished. Word on the street says cracks started showing after some moves Steve made that DL just wasn't feeling at all, and he didn't stay quiet about it either. DL even spoke up publicly, making it clear he thought Steve was moving wrong and not seeing the bigger picture. But that situation, that wasn't even the real breaking point. The real tension, insiders say, came from something Steve allegedly said about DL's grown daughter, and it crossed a serious line. Folks close to DL are saying it felt straight disrespectful, the kind you don't just brush off, and it pushed him to cut Steve off for good. Now DL is firing back with "Mind Your Own Daughter," and yeah, people are reading between the lines real quick and connecting the dots. Sources close to DL are saying Steve allegedly threw some slick comments about DL's daughter, Tyler, and even hinted that DL didn't handle his role as a parent right. That's a bold move, and people are side-eyeing it heavy because it crosses into personal territory real fast. And let's be real for a second. Steve questioning somebody else's parent and raised eyebrows instantly. This is a man who's had multiple marriages, while DL has been with LaDonna Hughley since 1986. That's over 40 years of sticking it out through ups and downs. No shortcuts, no walking away. DL has never hidden the fact that he made mistakes in his past, but he also made it clear they worked through it. He and LaDonna stayed silent, raised their family together, and built something that lasted decades. That kind of consistency speaks loud, and people are not ignoring that in this situation. Now, when it comes to their kids, things get even more serious. DL has a daughter, Tyler, and reports say Steve tried to use that as a point against him, which many see as crossing a line, especially when you look at how DL handled everything on his end. Tyler was reportedly nervous about opening up to her dad, which hit DL hard because of how close they've always been. But when she did come forward, DL stood right beside her, showed full support, and didn't try to hide it or downplay it at all. That kind of response speaks for itself, and it's why this whole situation has people talking. The fact that DL was genuinely bothered that his daughter didn't feel comfortable opening up to him at first says a lot. That kind of self-check, not every parent is doing that. Many people wouldn't even pause to think about it, but DL actually reflected on it, and that stands out in a big way. And here's the part people keep bringing up that doesn't get much attention. DL's daughter isn't out here chasing fame or trying to stay in headlines. She's been with her longtime partner, she's married, and she's living her life low-key, away from all the noise and spotlight.
Meanwhile, folks are looking over at Steve and raising questions. He's on TV almost every day giving advice about relationships and telling women how to move, but critics are quick to point out the contrast when it comes to his own family situation. That comparison is what's really got people talking right now. And this is where everything really started getting messy. That's when DL allegedly brought up Lori. And yeah, people already know her dating history has been a hot topic for a while now. Steve built a whole brand off relationships. He wrote Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, hosts shows and gives advice like he's the go-to voice on how women should carry themselves and move in relationships. That's his lane, and he's been loud about it for years. But then people start looking at Lori and they notice things don't exactly line up the way you'd expect. Now, sources are saying DL wasn't trying to attack Lori personally. His whole angle was about the double standard. You can't be out here leading the conversation on relationships while your own household seems to be moving in a totally different direction.
Be real careful, because Lori, boy, she be in my... I can't make no mistakes. I can't make stuff. I saw one of her exes somewhere at a game somewhere, and I shook his hand. Boy, I can't even touch his no more.
And to be clear, nobody's sitting here judging someone for who they date or how they live their life. That's their business. But when your dad is Steve Harvey, the same man who built a reputation telling women how to act and what standards to follow, people are going to start connecting dots and asking questions. So, naturally, folks started pulling up the timeline. It goes all the way back to 2016 with Memphis Depay, the Dutch soccer player. By June 2017, Lori and Memphis were engaged, and Steve was right there celebrating it publicly, even calling Memphis a good one. Steve was all in at first, proud and already thinking ahead to a wedding, but that engagement didn't even make it a full year. By 2018, the ring was gone, Memphis was out, and people were already raising eyebrows at how fast things flipped. Then came Trey Songz, and things stayed in the spotlight. Even Meek Mill threw Lori's name into a lyric, saying she was on his wish list, but allegedly had to back off once Trey stepped in. That alone had people talking and watching every move. After that, rumors started flying about Lewis Hamilton, the Formula One star. Word is they had a short situation after things went left with Trey, but neither of them ever confirmed anything publicly. Still, the speculation kept building, and the timeline kept getting more complicated. Then things got even more controversial with the Combs family. Reports claimed Lori was first linked to Justin Combs and later connected to his father, Diddy. That alone has social media going wild, with people debating every detail. What really had folks stunned, though, was hearing that Steve and Marjorie were reportedly cool with Lori seeing Diddy. They were even spotted on a trip together in Italy, sitting at the same table while Lori and Diddy showed affection openly. Now, Lori has pushed back on parts of those rumors, but she never fully addressed everything, and with photos circulating, the conversation only got louder. The whole Diddy situation turned into a major headline. They were spotted together in Italy, Mexico, and New York, and people couldn't stop talking about it. The age gap alone had folks doing double takes. She was 22, he was 49. On top of that, there were claims that Steve and Diddy were cool with each other, which only made the situation feel even more complicated to outsiders. But that wasn't where it ended. After that chapter, Lori was linked to Future, and that brought a whole new wave of attention. They went public on social media, traveled together, and everything looked serious for a minute. Future was even posting about her like he was locked in, but then things switched up fast. Soon after, reports said the relationship fell apart, and people noticed the shift immediately. Future even referenced it in a song with the line, "Tell Steve Harvey I don't wanna," and that lyric had everybody replaying it and talking about it non-stop. It added more attention to an already messy timeline. Then came Michael B. Jordan, and this was the one a lot of people rooted for. Fans thought this might finally be something stable, something long-term. Even Steve showed support publicly and seemed to really respect.
The thing that bothered me the most is how that her fear of how I would react plagued her more than my actual reaction. And that I had done a thing that obviously I had done something that would make her feel she was unsafe. That was hard to take, that I had fomented this idea in her that she wasn't safe talking to me, like I'm her best friend.
But according to reports, things didn't last because Lori wasn't ready to settle down. They were claims she felt restricted and wanted something different, so she ended the relationship. And on top of that, there were whispers that she didn't want Steve being overly friendly with Michael afterward, which only added another layer to the drama. Lori didn't sit around for long. While Michael was still publicly dealing with the breakup, she was already being linked to Damson Idris, and people noticed how fast that shift happened. The timing alone had social media buzzing and picking sides. But now things are getting even wilder. New rumors are floating around, saying Lori might already be done with Damson too. And the reason people are throwing out there is that he's too nice, which has everyone confused and debating what that even means. Now, to be fair, none of that has been officially confirmed, but fans started raising eyebrows when Damson was recently seen out with another woman, a 21-year-old model named Avari Lanai. That sighting alone got people talking, but it didn't stop there. Sources also pointed out that Avari started following a bunch of Damson's close friends on Instagram around mid-April. That could be nothing, or it could be a sign something is going on behind the scenes. Either way, the internet ran with it fast. And it looks like Lori is not happy about the chatter at all. She jumped on Instagram and made it very clear she's ready to push back, writing, "I hope you all have had so much fun creating false narratives about me for clickbait, because I'm about to have so much fun suing y'all."
Now, people are assuming she's talking about the too nice rumor, but nothing has been directly confirmed yet.
But look, those pictures of Damson and that other woman had people talking like the evidence was right there in front of them. The comment sections lit up fast, with folks calling Lori out and saying you can't just sue people for reacting to what they see happening publicly. Sure, anybody can try to take legal action, but winning is a whole different story. A lot of people online started comparing this to other high-profile cases, thinking it's that simple, when in reality, those situations had very specific details and circumstances behind them. It's not just about people talking, it's about what can actually be proven. There's a big difference between someone spreading harmful false claims as facts and people just gossiping or sharing opinions about a public situation. And when you're constantly in the spotlight, people are gonna talk, analyze, and build their own narratives whether you like it or not. At the same time, critics are pointing out that being visible in the public eye comes with that pressure. You can't fully control how people interpret things, especially when your personal life keeps making headlines. Now, bringing it back to DL Hughley telling Steve to mind his own daughter, a lot of people are starting to see where he might be coming from. Not even based on Lori's actions, but based on Steve's long history of giving strong opinions about relationships and how women should move. That contrast is what's really driving the conversation right now. And that's really what this all comes down to. It's not just about one comment or one situation, it's about the image Steve has built over the years and how it's being questioned now. When you spend so much time telling people how to live, eventually people are going to turn around and look at your own life under a microscope.
Did you already know before she told you? Oh, really? So it was a total... And was your parents saying like, oh yeah, I've known since you were 5?
It wasn't a total shock, but it just wasn't something I thought about, but it wasn't... I can't say I was shocked, but I can also say it's nothing I thought about. But I didn't freak out. It wasn't inconsistent with my idea of her. I didn't go this, I didn't raise it, so it was...
Yeah.
For years, Steve has positioned himself as the voice of reason when it comes to dating and relationships. From TV shows to books to interviews, he's been very clear about what he believes women should accept and what they shouldn't. That brand made him successful, but now it's also putting him in a tricky spot. Because once personal situations start making headlines, people start connecting everything. They're comparing the advice to the reality, and when those two don't match up perfectly, that's when the criticism gets loud. And that's exactly why DL stepping in hit as hard as it did. It wasn't just random shade, it was calling out what some people already felt but didn't say out loud. The difference now is it's not just whispers anymore, it's out in the open, and everybody's weighing in. At this point, it's less about who's right or wrong and more about how all of this plays out in public. Because when reputations, family, and opinions collide like this, things don't quiet down fast.
And now everything is reaching a point where people are waiting to see if Steve is actually going to respond. Because up to now, most of this has been one-sided, with DL speaking out and the internet running wild with it. But if Steve decides to say something, that could flip the whole situation again. The thing is, Steve isn't new to controversy. He knows how to handle pressure and keep his image intact. But this situation feels different because it's not just about him, it's about family. And when family gets pulled into it, the stakes get way higher. At the same time, people are watching DL closely too. Some are backing him up, saying he had every right to defend his daughter and speak on what he felt was disrespect. Others think he's taking it too far by bringing Steve's personal life into the spotlight like this. So now it's turning into a bigger conversation about boundaries. What's off limits and what's fair game when two public figures go at each other like this? Because once private comments turn public, it opens the door for everything else to be picked apart. And right now, nobody's backing down. The tension is still there, the opinions are getting louder, and it feels like this situation could escalate even more depending on who speaks next. And now people are starting to look beyond just the drama and focus on the bigger picture. Because this isn't only about two comedians going back and forth, it's about how public figures handle personal boundaries when everything is under a spotlight. There's also a growing conversation about accountability.
My daughter got married, both my daughters, but when my youngest daughter got married, I was so relieved that she was surrounded by love. It was like, I wanted her to be happy and safe. And now with both my daughters, I have to cede that to someone else. I have to say, well, this is not my responsibility anymore.
Was your mother at the wedding?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so she supported it. And,
everybody. Yeah.
Okay, good.
It was
good.
everybody who wasn't there. I mean,
yeah.
But it was a lot of love and a lot of support, and she got the wedding.
When you build a platform giving strong advice and opinions, people expect that same energy to show up in your own life. And when it doesn't, that gap becomes impossible to ignore. At the same time, others are pointing out that nobody's life is perfect behind the scenes. It's easy for the public to connect dots and form opinions without knowing the full story. But once things are said out loud, especially between two well-known names, it's hard to walk any of it back. DL's stance seems clear from how this is unfolded. He's not just brushing it off or letting it slide. From his perspective, respect for his family comes first, and anything crossing that line is going to be addressed directly. Meanwhile, Steve's silence is starting to stand out more and more. Some people think he's choosing to stay above it, while others believe he's just waiting for the right moment to respond. Either way, the longer it stays quiet on his side, the more the speculation keeps building. And at this point, the conversation is starting to shift again. It's not just about what was said or who started it. It's about how everything is being perceived by the public in real time. Because once the internet locks in on a narrative, it moves fast and it doesn't wait for full explanations.
Some people are now questioning whether this could have been handled behind closed doors, a private conversation, a direct call, something off camera. Because once it spills out like this, it turns into a spectacle and everybody feels invited to give their opinion. But others are pushing back on that idea. They're saying when something disrespectful is said publicly or spreads publicly, then addressing it out loud is fair game too. You can't expect silence when the situation itself didn't stay private. And then there's the layer of reputation. Both DL and Steve have spent years building their names, their brands, and how people see them. Moments like this can shift that perception quickly, especially when it involves family and personal values. Right now, it feels like everything is balancing on what happens next. One response, one interview, or even one post could change the direction of this whole situation overnight. Because in situations like this, it's not just about what's true, it's about what people believe, and that's where things can really take a turn. And now you've got another layer building on top of all this. Fans and critics are starting to revisit old clips, old interviews, and past moments, trying to piece everything together like it's a full timeline. Every statement Steve has made about relationships is being replayed, analyzed, and compared to what's happening now. That's the thing about having years of content out there. People will go back, pull receipts, and line everything up side by side. And when they feel like something doesn't match, they're gonna call it out loudly. At the same time, DL's past comments are getting attention too. People are checking to see if he's always kept this same energy across the board, or if this situation is different because it hit close to home. That back and forth scrutiny is keeping both sides under pressure, and social media isn't slowing down at all. Every new rumor, every new clip, every small detail gets amplified within minutes. It turns into debates, reactions, and people picking sides without hesitation. What's making this even more intense is that neither side has fully closed the door on it. There's still room for more to be said, more to come out, and possibly even more names getting pulled into the mix. Because once a situation like this reaches this level, it doesn't just disappear. It either cools off slowly or it explodes again when nobody expects it. And now people are starting to wonder if this could turn into something even bigger than just talk. Because when tension like this keeps building, it doesn't always stay online. There's always that chance it spills into interviews, stand-up routines, or even direct call-outs on bigger platforms. You already know how both of them move. DL is known for being outspoken and not holding back, especially when he feels disrespected. And Steve, on the other hand, knows how to control a room and deliver a message when he decides it's time. If he chooses to respond publicly, it's not gonna be quiet.
I be real careful because Lori, boy, she be in my, I can't make no mistakes. I can't make stuff. I saw one of her exes somewhere at a game somewhere and I shook his hand, boy, I can't even touch his no more. I better not acknowledge him or look at him or nothing no more. So I'm off limits. If you are ex, your ex is my ex too. That's the rule. The rule in our house is any boy that's an ex, he's now my ex too. I must hate him like we would.
There's also speculation about whether other comedians or celebrities might start chiming in. Situations like this tend to pull in outside opinions, and once more voices get involved, it can shift the whole narrative again. And let's not ignore how this could play out on stage. Comedy has always been a space where real-life issues get turned into material. If either of them decides to bring this situation into their routines, that's going to add another layer of attention and reaction. Right now, everything feels like it's building toward a moment. Whether that's a response, a reveal, or something nobody saw coming, the energy around this situation hasn't dropped at all. Because when pride, reputation, and personal lines all get mixed together like this, it usually doesn't end quietly. And now it's starting to feel like the audience is just waiting for that one moment that changes everything. Because with this much tension built up, it usually only takes one comment, one clip, or one unexpected reveal to flip the whole story again. Some people think this might eventually cool off on its own, that both sides will just move on and let the noise fade away. But others aren't buying that at all, especially with how personal things have gotten. There's also a growing feeling that this situation has already done some damage, at least when it comes to public perception. Once certain ideas get planted in people's minds, they don't just disappear. They stick, they get repeated, and they shape how people view both DL and Steve moving forward. At the same time, there is still fans on both sides holding their ground. Some are riding with DL, saying he stood up for his family no matter what. Others are defending Steve, arguing that not everything being said should be taken at face value. So now, everything is kind of hanging in the air. No clear resolution, no final word, just a situation that keeps evolving with every new reaction. And the truth is, with this much attention locked in, it might not be over anytime soon. And now, it's starting to feel like this situation is turning into a defining moment for both of them. Not just a quick headline, but something people are going to remember and bring up long after the noise dies down. Because when two well-known figures clash like this, it always leaves a mark. Every interview, every appearance, every future comment is going to be looked at differently now. People are going to read between the lines, trying to catch hidden shots or subtle responses. There's also that question hanging in the air about whether this can ever be smoothed over. Friendships in the public eye can be complicated, especially when personal lines get crossed. Some people believe there's no coming back from this, while others think time might eventually cool things down. But even if things do quiet down, the narrative has already been set in motion. The clips, the reactions, the debates, all of that stays online. And once it's out there, it keeps circulating, bringing the whole situation back into conversations again and again. At the end of the day, both DL and Steve have built strong careers and reputations. But moments like this test how solid those images really are under pressure. And right now, it's clear this story still has people watching closely, waiting to see what move comes next. And now the focus is shifting to what happens long-term after all this noise settles. Because moments like this don't just disappear. They leave behind a new dynamic that both sides have to deal with moving forward. Every public appearance from here on out is going to carry a different weight. If DL speaks, people are going to listen closely for any subtle shots. If Steve steps up and addresses it, you already know it's going to be analyzed line by line. There's also that tension of whether this stays strictly between them or spreads into their wider circles. Friends, colleagues, and even fans can end up adding fuel just by picking sides and keeping the conversation alive. At the same time, the public is getting more aware of how fast narratives can form. One statement turns into 10 opinions, and before you know it, the story takes on a life of its own. That's exactly what's been happening here, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. What makes this stand out is how personal it got. This wasn't just industry talk or light jokes. This touched on family, values, and respect. And once it reaches that level, it hits different and sticks longer. So now everything feels like it's in a waiting phase again. Not quiet, not resolved, just building under the surface, ready for whatever comes next. Meanwhile, people keep pointing out the pattern they see. Lori has been engaged before and linked to several high-profile relationships like Diddy, Future, and Trey Songz, and every move has been heavily discussed online. Then you've got situations where, according to reports, things ended with Michael B. Jordan and Damson Idris, with rumors claiming they were too boring or too nice, and that only added more fuel to the conversation. Now, to be clear, Lori is a grown woman and free to date whoever she wants. That's her personal life, no question about it. But the spotlight shifts because of Steve and the image he's built over the years. Steve has made it known many times that any man dating his daughters has to go through him first. He's spoken strongly about standards, respect, and how men should approach women. So when things don't seem to line up with that publicly, people are gonna talk. And that's exactly what DL was calling out. At the end of the day, you can't guide everybody else on relationships while your own situation is being questioned. That contrast is what's got everyone locked in on this story. So what do you think about Steve allegedly throwing shade at DL? And how do you see Lori's dating history playing into all of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more updates.